Hello everyone, I know most of you are visual effects experts, but there are still some among you who say, what the hell is After Effects? These tutorials are designed to teach you how simple visual effects production process works. I know it's going to be boring, actually more boring than you imagine, but this is the basics and you got nothing to do about it, so let's get started. After Effects is one of the many compositing programs that have become standard in the industry. Basically, compositing is to combine layers of the images on top of each other to create a single visual. So, the process starts with importing the images you will work with into the program. Then you combine the imported images on a composition screen and outputs as a video file by rendering. Since After Effects is not an editing program, it does not play audio files by default. The aim is to import a few raw footage, add visual effects, and insert to the place where it stays in the movie. When we first open the program, this screen appears. On the top side of the screen, we see the toolbar panel that contains the selection, rotation, drawing, camera options, and many other tools we need while working on composition. Just below it, there's project panel on the left. This is the place where all the visuals are going to be stored. Here you can organize your items, such as photos, videos, graphics, or music files by foldering or renaming. With File, Import, File, I open the Import menu. On the screen, you can make selections one by one or multiple items at once. I can select specific files by holding down Ctrl on PC or Command on Mac, or unselect certain files. I can also import the whole folder to bring all acceptable files in the folder. Alternatively, you can double-click on the project panel to access the import window much faster. You know, speed means everything, so try to learn and use shortcuts. It's important to use folders to organize the images. It may seem unnecessary since there are a few images now, but sometimes you may need to work with dozens. So try to organize from very beginning before it gets complicated. Right-click here and new folder, name it, and press enter. I'm moving my image file into the folder. We have imported what we need. It's time to create a composition. We create our composition with Composition, New Composition from the menu bar. I set that shortcut with speed up. Alternatively, we can create a new composition by clicking the small icon here. From this small screen, we make settings such as composition name, resolution, frame rate, or timeline length. When I click OK, my composition created with the desired settings. At any time, you can always make adjustments from the composition setting. If you accidentally close the composition, you can always recall it by clicking the composition name in the project panel. At the bottom of the screen, you will see the timeline panel. On the left, you can see the images as layers. The right part of the panel where you can trim layers just like when to start, when to add, and how long it will play. You can drag and drop your visuals to the timeline panel or drag and drop directly to the monitor to add timeline. This vertical line is the time indicator. By swiping left and right, you can access certain second or frame. Let's drag our second video to timeline. Since After Effects is a program based on layers, it will show the top layer first. It's unable to see the second video with drag just because it's under the first video layer. We can make our second video visible by moving to the upper layer, or we can move the image block forward so it will be seen when time indicator points. Likewise, it's possible to hold end of the block and shorten it to use a part of it. Now, let's play our video by pressing space. When you press space again, playback will stop. You can also hide the layer by pressing the eye icon on the far left. We can move images by holding and dragging on the preview monitor, and we can shrink or enlarge them by holding the dots on the edges. If you want to resize it by its aspect ratio, just hold down the Shift key. On the right, we can see the Effects panel. This panel contains the effects you will use in compositions. If you know the name of the effect you need, you can simply access it by writing the search bar. I'm going to add a blur effect to my image as an example. I hold the blur effect on panel and drag it to my layer. As you can see, the Effect Controls tab appeared where the Project panel was. I can switch between two panels at any time by clicking the Project tab right next to it. All active effects on the layer will appear in this panel and I can change the parameters individually. If I choose other layer, my Effect Controls panel will be blank because there are no effects applied yet. If you accidentally close any panel, you can get access again from the window menu. It's time to render our composition out. Select the area you want to render with B and N keys. Click the Add to Render cube from the menu above. Make sure the timeline is selected. This is the panel where we make the final settings for the output. Under the Render button, there are settings such as quality and resolution of your video. The output model is the most important part here. This is the place where you can specify the format and which codec you will use. You can set a different resolution for your output with resize or cut a part of the screen with crop. Finally, we specify the location and name, then click the render button. We see that the rendering process has started. Congratulations, you have just started your visual effects career by importing, applying an effect, and rendering it out. You are ready to move on to the second step.